Welcome to the Church Solutions Podcast, brought to you by JSL Solutions. The Church Solutions Podcast is designed to help equip you and your church in the use of technology and other tools and services. And now, here are your hosts, Steve Lacy and Phil Thompson.
Hello, and thanks for being with us for another edition of the Church Solutions Podcast.
Hi, my name is Steve Lacy.
And my name is Phil Thompson. We come to you just about every week with our Church Solutions Podcast. We are with a company called JSL Solutions. Steve is the president of JSL Solutions. And what is JSL Solutions very quickly, Steve, for our new listeners?
JSL Solutions provides tools for ministry, myflock.com, and websites and church management, StreamingChurch.tv is live streaming, Church App Live is mobile apps, and our new thing, Greeter.church.
Greeter.church. What in the world is Greeter.church?
Greeter.church is an online greeter for your church website. You can add a personal greeter to your website, so if people visit during the week, they'll have somebody to talk to.
Just go to greeter.church. That's all you have to type in your browser is greeter.church. And you can see the website and look a little more about it. Okay, awesome. So we are a company that is obviously a technology company. We work, for the most part, exclusively with churches. The things that Steve just mentioned, mainstay is streaming video, but we have those other products. And we normally talk a lot about technology, and also because Steve and I work with churches and have been involved in ministry, it's kind of our life. We also provide some tools and some advice and some things hopefully that help you either as a pastor or a associate pastor or maybe a key volunteer in your church. We try to bring you some stuff that will help you, enable you to do your ministry better. Today we are going to talk about technology. And in the past, we've talked a lot about using technology to reach young people. But today we have a different twist on things, don't we?
We do. We're going to go to the other spectrum, right?
That's right. We're going to talk today about reaching out to your seniors in your church and using technology to reach those folks that would be considered seniors. I think maybe I'm considered a senior now. Are you?
I think so. You get to be part of AARP when you're 55, right?
Yeah, so we're seniors, I guess, now. Get some discounts. Go to movies and those kind of things. Do you take advantage of that? Do you get a senior discount in your movies?
I think I did the first time recently.
Well, good. Well, you should take advantage of that, right? Because, you're a senior now. So let's get into this a little bit. So as we've said before, there's been a lot of hype about, attracting and reaching millennials in the church. We talk a lot about that. And there's good reason for that, because 35%, according to some data, 35% of millennials don't really identify with any religion. And so it's good to use technology to bring them in. But you've also got a large senior population. And what about those seniors? What can we do to help them connect? Because chances are you've got probably some seniors in your church, but they might be struggling in some areas.
So you've got some stats on these seniors and how they're using technology. What are those stats?
According to a recent data survey, 59% of seniors use the internet. So I can believe that. I think more and more people getting older are on the internet now. Mm-hmm. 77% have a cell phone. But only 18% of those seniors actually own a smartphone, a little different than a cell phone. I think of the cell phone, the little flip-up deal, but smartphones right. Obviously are a little different. According to this stat, 18% of seniors own a smartphone. So, and then if you add to this fact that many among the over 65 age group, about 40%, suffer from some physical ailments that prevent them from using some technology. And then it goes on to say that once they reach the age of 75, seniors are 21% less likely to go online. So with many seniors not, accessing the internet on a regular basis, and again, as we just mentioned, a majority of them not really owning a smart mobile phone or smart device, new websites and apps are at risk of falling on what you might call the analogy rocky soil. Mm-hmm. This is kind of what we're talking about, that little analogy here from the Bible. So let's talk a little bit about what we can do to help our seniors, help them feel more relevant, help them be cared for, as we as a church head into this 21st century now, and we're progressing nicely into it. What can we do to help them with the struggles with technology?
I think a good illustration here, what just came to mind here, was I've got my mother-in-law who's actually very old. She's
Well, how old is she?
She's 91.
Well, that's pretty good. That's
I
pretty
call
old.
her very young.
Yeah.
Because she's in great shape, but she's
Yeah.
older than this group we're talking about, and it's interesting how the culture has changed. She'll go out with us, and she'll go out with our us and our kids, and she talks about how she talks with her peers about the grandkids and the kids having their face down in the phone all the time in these when they're sitting around the table or in the family room, and she doesn't have a smartphone to stick her face into, so there's a different culture going on there.
Well, there is, and there's probably a feeling of feeling left out.
Yeah.
You're sitting there and everybody else is staring
everyone
at their
feels
phones.
left out too when you're all just staring at your own phones.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a scripture, a proverb that talks about the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. The vast majority of seniors out there probably don't feel very adequate when it comes to figuring out technology all by themselves. Right. It's a struggle. And so
there's some things we can do,
there's things to do, and most of them are willing to learn, but they don't feel comfortable doing it themselves. So here's some things we can do in our churches to help them. And these are just some common sense things, but it does take a little effort. But I think if we do this, it would really help, especially if you have a large senior population. First thing I would encourage you to do is find somebody in your local church that is what you might call an IT expert, or at least somebody that has a really good knowledge of computers.
Someone under 30, huh?
Probably.
Anyone under 30.
Probably. It's somebody that's got good knowledge of computers and mobile devices.
Right.
And so here's what you might consider doing. And again, it's another thing to do, but I think it'd be worth it. Find somebody that could do that could help folks, maybe have a little class or a little group. I bet you that you might get some interest from some of the older people.
Yeah. I was telling you before we went on the air here that one of the guys in our life group, and he too is probably late 50s or so, but he is now teaching mainly seniors how to use technology, actually from the library. So his course is on using tablets.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So somebody like that could help somebody. So it would be a part of organizing a little group or class, whatever you could do a Sunday night or sometime during the week. Okay. The other thing would be, as you kind of alluded to, maybe a teen or a young person. Maybe you could assign if you've got some young people in your church, maybe you could assign them, or young adult or whatever, assign them to an interested senior and have, him or her personally walk the senior through, setting up their computer, setting up their smartphone or some other device with some of the basic features.
Right. I've had interesting story from my brother-in-law. He went through that same process, and he went as far as he went with this friend of his and to the store to help pick out a computer because she wanted to get on a computer, and bought the computer, brought the computer home, unboxed the computer, got the computer hooked up and going on the internet, and then walked her through, here's how you launch a browser, here's what, got them, let's set up an email account and, the whole bit.
I think it'd be a great thing. And then another thing you might consider having is maybe set up a core group of volunteers to man what you might call a church technology help desk. I mean, it sounds a little unusual, but you know what? That might be something I would even go to. You know what I'm saying? If you had something set up maybe in your lobby, some churches have an information table, that has information on it about the church or about different groups that are meeting. Maybe you could have a little technology, help desk for people, specializing in helping seniors or anybody for that matter.
Right.
If you've got, if you do streaming video, or if you have a mobile app, or you have some other things that require some technical stuff, be a great tool. Great
Yeah,
asset.
one of the things that we do actually at our church, one of the guys is really involved with the technology, and recently we've been part of a campaign to check in on Facebook, and they would
Right.
provide things to underprivileged kids and that sort of thing. But you would need to go in and check in and apply a hashtag. And so he's telling this, as part of the announcements, and he always says, if this doesn't make any sense to you or you need any help with anything, just seek me out after the service and I can walk you through it. So
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe the next step would be having somebody at a table or something so
yeah,
that people know exactly where to go, But so, yeah, I think it's not just for seniors. It could be for anybody. It doesn't matter, So those kind of things I think would be helpful for helping seniors, helping anybody that maybe feels inadequate. Another step would be there's a scripture verse that talks about they listen, but they do not hear. And this kind of comes down to something I'm kind of relating to these days, hearing loss. Hearing loss is increasing more and more. Over 36 million people in the United States alone have a hearing loss. And they say that in the next 20 years or so, baby boomers will make that number go up dramatically, possibly over 50%, actually over 50 million, 50 to 65 million people within the next few years.
Too many rock concerts during their younger years, huh?
I guess. I've always had what's the ringing in the ears? There's a term for it. I want to say not tenacity, but there's a word for it, but constant ringing.
Right.
Maybe you could Google it right now and find it. But I've just had it for years, and I don't know whether it's the rock concerts. I used to lead a lot of music. If the amps were up too high, I used to do a lot of target practicing, maybe too much without my ear plugs in, but I always have ringing in my ears. It doesn't really annoy me like it does some people, because there's some medication you can take for it. I have it right now, but it doesn't really bother me. I guess I'm used to it. But the point is, more and more people are having hearing. They're suffering from hearing loss.
So what can we do about that?
That's the biggest challenge, because about a third of seniors suffer from hearing loss, according to the stat. And the problem is with hearing aids. In fact, you and I were just talking. We've talked about this a couple times, and we were mentioning it today at lunch before we did this. Hearing aids are expensive, very expensive. We're trying to figure out, if it's a scam or if it really is worth the money. I don't know. I still have my dad, who's been dead for many, many years. I still have one of his old hearing aids that you stick the earpiece in your ear, and then there was a wire that would come down, and there was a little box that you could put in your front pocket, and that was the hearing aid. And I still have that. But hearing aids have always been expensive. But here's the deal with hearing aids. Even if you get a really good one, they say, and I don't know this from firsthand experience, but they say that it still is difficult to hear like a voice across the room.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So a good hearing aid probably would help you, but if you're in a church service, it could be difficult, especially if you have other background noise going on.
Yeah, that's a capability that I think is mainly with men, and I'm sure I have it. If there's a lot of background noise going on, there's a certain skill to be able to filter out and pick up a voice that you start to lose as you get older. So you can still hear that background noise, but you can't filter out that and hear that voice as well.
So getting to this, what should we do about this? How can we help our seniors in church? There are assisted listening technology devices available. They've been available actually for many, many years. Some of them are kind of archaic, but you could possibly look into installing assisted listening technology. A lot of it works on an FM frequency. Mm-hmm. So, you'd have an FM frequency or something like that, and it would be plugged into your sound system or whatever it is. And so whoever's speaking, preaching the sermon or speaking whatever, that signal is going to go to a device that the person can have on them. Mm-hmm. Either they put it in their ear or they put it around their ear or something like that. So that's an option. It's been around for a long time. It's not the cheapest stuff in the world. I don't have anything here in front of me. Just Google it. Just Google assisted listening
Not
technology.
assisted
Living,
living.
that's a whole other subject. But
For
assisted
seniors.
listening technologies, just Google that, and there's some out there. Just put in for churches, and you'll see some stuff out there. But again, if you have a large senior population in your church, it might be worth it for your church to consider getting something like that. And also, you might, if you don't have the budget for it, you might make the need known, because there may be some seniors or some other people that say, what, I'd like to contribute to that and help my seniors in the church here. So something to consider here, okay? Another thing to consider is mobile apps. There are some mobile apps out there that can help seniors, especially if they have issues with dexterity problems or vision. There's things that they could look, if they have a smartphone. We just mentioned that there's not a lot that do, but there are some that do have smartphones. A mobile app that helps people interact and connect could help. We actually produce a mobile app called Church App Live, which is something that they could look at as well.
To have some seniors test it and see how it does.
we can modify it a little bit. And then the other thing that I think seniors have a problem with is, especially if you have some of these issues we just talked about, is really feeling connected. Really, because if you can't hear very good, if you can't see very good, or if you're mobile, if you have a hard time walking, there's a tendency to feel disconnected from everybody else.
So what's some ways we can get them connected?
Well, there's several ways. One is, there is a stat that says 49% of Facebook users are 65 and older. Didn't know that. But according to this stat,
that's why all the young ones are leaving, huh?
Could be. I don't know. It could be. So you might consider creating a Facebook page if you don't have one already. If you do have a Facebook page for your church, maybe put some content on there that your seniors could relate to a little bit. Give them links and ways that they can connect with other people using Facebook, because there are a group of people on there. Research shows that most seniors who are active on sites like Facebook tend to have, more social interactions with people, both in person and online. So something to consider there. Again, we mentioned low mobility. Maybe people can't make it to some of the regular Bible studies or the church services. Streaming video.
Yeah, that would definitely play in there.
Streaming video helps. Of course, we have a company, StreamingChurch.tv, but here's how you can make it. I know some of you are probably listening and saying, well, but they don't know how to do this and do that. Well, Roku channel, like our particular company, we have a Roku channel.
Right.
So people can go to the spiritual and religious category in Roku, and there you can find StreamingChurch.tv, and then we have churches under our umbrella, so to speak. And it's not really that hard to navigate.
No, it's not. It's easier. And another approach that comes to mind is actually the wife of our senior pastor was setting up her mother to be able to, because she can't get out to church anymore, but she still wanted to go to church. And they went out shopping and bought a tablet.
Okay.
And Kathy went in and created an icon on the tablet and explained to her mom, says, when it's time for church, just click on this thing and you'll be able to watch church online. So
cool.
10 made it really simple for them, and they're able to watch online every week.
And your church could have its very own Roku channel too.
Yeah, that's true.
Which, again, not to push us, but I will push our product.
Roku does makes it simpler, or setting things up on a tablet would make it simple for.
Yeah, either way. So we can help you do that if you need help with that. If you need a Roku channel or something like that. So those kind of things can help. The streaming video can help. Also, archives. So if they can't maybe watch the live service, they could watch an archive,
right?
A video and some of that you could do with, you could do your own YouTube channel if you wanted to, and put your videos on YouTube. And again, what you just mentioned earlier, for some seniors, they might need a little bit of help navigating to that, but you could certainly set up a link or something to do that.
Yeah, they can use the group you set up at church to help them get to where they need to go.
Absolutely. And then another piece of this puzzle here is your church management software. We Coincidentally, we actually have church management software too with myflock.com. But you can use church management software to maybe pull everybody together, the whole congregation, and also keep the seniors connected to other members of your church, by again having interactive calendars, membership directories, maybe some mass communication capabilities. Those kind of things can really help in connecting people, not just seniors, everybody, but certainly seniors as we're talking about this subject. So I think these things are important as we just continue to progress with the use of technology for church and ministry. We can help those who may not be really familiar with it,
right?
But we can help them get in touch with it.
Yeah, my wife and I often talk about whether we will maintain our technical aptitude as we get older, or if we'll just kind of, like her mother has gone, she's very comfortable with the telephone and that sort of thing. I wonder if we'll be really comfortable with smartphones, but with this virtual reality is just going to be too far beyond us or something. I don't know. We'll see.
It's really hard to tell. The future, it's anybody's guess the future is. But I think, we need to keep this in mind. And in the past, we've emphasized reaching young people, and we need to do that. But we also need to connect people we have and make sure that technology doesn't just override them and go past them. So
right.
Awesome. So if you have anything to add to this list or there's some thoughts on this subject, send us an email, support@StreamingChurch.tv. That's one of our emails. We'd love to get your feedback on this.
Yes.
And, check out our other podcasts. Just go to iTunes, look for Church Solutions Podcast, or how is it you say it, your favorite?
Your favorite podcast player. Just search on your favorite podcast player for Church Solutions.
Church Solutions. And then also, we're on YouTube with the audio versions on YouTube. So look for StreamingChurch.tv. And you can go to our website. We've got lots of websites. NewMediaMinistries.tv. NewMediaMinistries.tv has this podcast on it, or will, and other ones. And then there's, of course, our main websites that we just talked about earlier, StreamingChurch.tv and others. So, all right, good deal. Well, we hope that you are doing well. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with us today. And by the way, one more quick thing. We mentioned streaming video. We do a streaming 101 webinar. We've been doing it live for the last couple of weeks or so. It's on Wednesdays. It's 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. If you're interested in streaming video, it's a streaming webinar 101. And the best way to probably sign up for that would be to just go to StreamingChurch.tv and then look under
Getting Started.
Look under the Getting Started menu. There's a little drop down under Getting Started, and one of those would be to sign up for our Streaming 101 webinar. If you're interested in that, you could certainly take advantage of that free webinar. It could help a little bit.
Exactly. All right.
Sounds good. All right. Well, he is Steve Lacy. I am Phil Thompson. Again, we wish you a great day. We will catch you next time for another edition of the Church Solutions Podcast. Take care.